Woo! Oh, hey, we're not going through any of that tonight. There's no camera on tonight, although I am live and I'm here with you and I'm in the studio. Tonight, I have an audio presentation for you. However, I am here with you live, and as I play this interview, I will be in the chat room and you can ask me any questions. Tonight is a good night because I don't have to put on any makeup. I don't have to do my hair or get out of my comfy but sloppy shirt, and I can just chill. And the professor, I think, is going to bed early tonight and chilling because they work very hard at pursuing X. And so he gets to chill, and I'm going to talk for 1 minute, and then I'm just going to play this interview. I'm not going to set it up. Tonight is Jimmy Church. The setup comes with a package that I've put together. So just go ahead and listen for the setup. Like I said, I won't be back on live talking. You're just going to hear the interview, and I'm going to be in the chat room live, and we can discuss the interview, or you can ask me anything. And tonight, it's really me there. And we're just letting the machine go on autopilot as we listen to this interview from Contact in the Desert 2018. And I just want to say really quickly, thank you to Jiggy, Paranormal Hood, Dave Partridge, Shadows of Your Mind Magazine. You're awesome. Sticker Giant, you rock. Pursuing X, thank you for all of your hard work. I really appreciate it. And thank you, Jimmy Church, for doing this interview. This was a big break for me. And for you Fadernaughts out there who have tuned in, you'll really enjoy this. This is like a peek behind the curtain a little bit. This is Jimmy just being personal about his start. And I think you'll find it very interesting. So if you are a Fadernaut, thank you for liking this video, this audio. And catch me at Disclosure Con, October 5th and 6th in Pine Top, Arizona. Go to disclosurecon.com. It's where sci-fi and sci-reality collide under one roof. They pound and explode. Okay, without further ado, here's my interview from June 3rd, 2018 with Jimmy Church. And nothing more needs to be said. Here comes the setup. Thank you so much for tuning in, and join me in the chat room. Thank you all very much. Welcome to this bonus edition of Mysterious Forces with Natasha Nyxx. I'm so glad you're listening to this. I like to release these pre-recorded audio interviews that I did before the podcast really got going. And I like to sprinkle them out a little bit at a time. I don't just want to throw them all out at once. I think they're better consumed that way. The guest on this episode is Jimmy Church. And this interview happened at Contact in the Desert 2018. And this was June 3rd. And it was the afternoon, and the evening ceremonies had not happened yet. And Jimmy had already done a lot that weekend in regards to the convention and working his booth and putting together panels. So I could tell that he had done a lot. And he said that he would give me 10 minutes, and it turned out to be about 23, 24 minutes. And I was really grateful for that. And so we sat down, we had a really candid conversation, and he got the better microphone, and his voice sounds magnificent in this. And I had the lesser microphone, but you know, he's already got like the best radio voice ever going on anyway. So he didn't need a lot of help, but he was really personable. It was a good time, and I enjoyed it, and it really put me at ease, and it helped me see that I was on the right track with this career path. And so without much further ado, here comes the interview with Jimmy Church, June 3rd, 2018. And roll it. I'd like to welcome to the show right now Jimmy Church. He needs no introduction. He's the host of Fade to Black. He does weekends on Coast to Coast. And I think he's the hardest working man in paranormal radio. Jimmy, welcome to the show.
There are times when I would agree with that. So there you go. Here we are. How are you?
I'm doing great. Have you had a good time here at Contact?
When you have, we have done this show, this conference since the beginning, so many years, and the support that we have had with this show, this conference, we have grown together. And so many things have happened for me personally and for Fade to Black because of the show and what we have done here, which includes things like Coast to Coast and TV and everything that we have done. But the growth of this community here, it's just amazing. And when you just think that Joshua Tree and Contact in the Desert, which was a very special place and very fun, got as big as it could be, I think we all knew as a community that we were going to outgrow that over there. So here we are down the road a few miles, here in Palm Springs at this beautiful resort. But we have another 1,000 people here this year, another 1,500, and how big it's gotten. But we knew that we were going to be here one day. So yeah, this conference, it's the best. It's the biggest in the world. And you walk around and you see the support that not only Fade to Black has or Coast to Coast has, and you see all of my T-shirts, right?
And everywhere.
And it's because of the community, the family, but the growth of it, because people are coming back looking for this information, and it's not a numbers game where you are counting or looking at clicks or countries or things. I don't look at it that way, and I don't think the community does either. We just have grown because people are looking for this information. And if they find it through Fade to Black or Coast to Coast or a conference like this, it doesn't really matter. But when they get inside of it, they realize that they can talk freely. They can think what they want. They're not going to be embarrassed. You can sit at a bar and talk about an alien abduction. You can go into a conference room and listen to somebody speak about life after death or conspiracy theories or Washington, the Department of Defense, or little gray guys visiting you in your room at night, which I've had happen to me. So, and I didn't talk about it for 10 years. If I would have known that there were things like this out there where I could go and hang out and have the interaction, friendships that develop for a lifetime and memories where you can come here and speak freely, that's the best part about it. And that's why the growth is here. And I firmly believe that. That's exactly what I think is going on.
As I understand it, you have a background in the music industry,
that's right,
the entertainment industry. Did your personal experience change your life in such a way that what you're doing now is kind of a marriage between what you were doing before professionally and your personal life, interweaving with that skill set to kind of bring you to this place?
Yeah, because, for me, that's a great question, but I have a few different answers for that. One, I used to produce records and record bands and do my thing, and I'm a guitar player. So am I producing records today? No, I'm not. But I'm on the radio and I'm able to produce the show and come up with music and produce commercials. And so I get the creative aspect out of me doing that. There's that part. But let's back up. When I was in the music industry, and that's what I was doing, my friends and I, whatever bands or whatever, we never talked UFOs. Okay. We would talk sports. We would talk music. At home, I had this secret vault of UFO videos, of books and magazines that nobody knew about. So if I had guests over to the house, they never saw a UFO magazine. I never talked about it. I was in the closet completely, and I felt like I needed to, and I've talked about this a lot, I needed to break free. I felt like there was this, but it was so immersive for me. I was studying, I was reading since I was a little kid. I was collecting the materials. I had my favorite videos and my favorite books, and I would read them over and over again and plow through this UFO world. And when I got on the internet the first time, and I was still in the music industry, this is 1995. And the first search word I did when I got a search engine, Mozilla or whatever I had back then, was UFO. It wasn't porn. Most people, right? And I get that. I fully understand. I do. That was my second search word.
Right.
But my first one was UFO. And so I continued, and that's all I did was study. And I was looking for a photograph I'd never seen before. And I was just trying to, and it was just, so one day I decided, as I started getting into radio and leaving the music world behind, I wanted to figure out a way, because I was listening to Art Bell and I was doing my thing, right? I lived across the street from the Coast to Coast Studios. I did. I knew I literally could see the Coast Studios from my balcony.
Wow.
So I wanted to figure out a way to get into radio and get my foot in the door, and then somehow weasel my way into a conspiracy UFO program. And so I started sportscasting, and I thought, okay, sportscasting will be easy. I'll break into that, and then I'll maybe do a sports UFO show, and then I could blend that in, right? And that was my plan. And you know what? It ended up working. That's exactly, talking about manifesting your reality. So I started sportscasting. And then we developed a show that was going to be sports and UFOs and entertainment. And we developed that. And then that turned into Fade to Black. And then one thing, and it just like clockwork, it all happened.
Fade to Black is like an empire. You've got it going on. You've got great distribution on KGRA, the Game Changer Network. Is that your network?
iHeartRadio.
iHeartRadio?
Yeah. So the Game Changer Network is ours. What we decided to do from the very, very beginning, when we started, there wasn't a KGRA, there was no internet radio, there wasn't any internet radio, but I had the music background and I knew technically how to get things done. So we figured out a way to get internet on a web, or internet audio on the internet on a website, and you get it to play back. Rita and I had the vision for it. I had the gear, I had the technical knowledge, but I had to figure it out. So we did. And then that enabled us to not only figure out the audio part and introduce internet radio to the internet. We did it in a backwards way, but we pulled it off. We didn't know what we were doing. We just had a goal. The goal was to somehow to get audio to play on a website, and to broadcast a radio show. So from the beginning, we wanted the sound and feel of terrestrial radio, but broadcast on the internet. And the key part was not to have the man involved. I didn't want to have somebody tell me, no, I couldn't, we can't do it.
Right.
We were rebels. I didn't want to lose control. So as long as we own the Game Changer Network and we own Fade to Black, and we figured out how to do it and how to push it all forward, that I wouldn't have to answer to somebody. I didn't want somebody to come in and go, dude, you can't talk about the Lakers and Roswell on the same show. It's not going to work. I didn't want to have somebody ever say that to me.
Right.
And that's what we did. And it's just crazy. So when you say empire, it was all from the very humble beginnings to this organic thing that took off by itself. We've never advertised, never had corporate investment. We've never taken a loan. We've never done anything. We started it with $10 on a credit card. And I'm not joking about this. And then we racked up our, but we did everything completely by ourselves. So today we still own everything, and we still retain complete control. And so therefore we control the content. We produce it, but the audience grows it on their own, that they do the advertising for us. They talk about the show with their friends, or Twitter, or Facebook, or what social media, whatever, YouTube. That's all done by the audience, and we don't do any of it.
I don't think people realize sometimes how much hard work goes into an endeavor like this, when every small detail comes down to you.
That's right.
You know, I'm creating this show, and, you know, I suddenly am looking at font colors and stuff that I wanted nothing to do with. I wanted to have a show, but all of these concerns suddenly get put on your plate.
Mm-hmm.
I think in large part, your success. I was talking to Ethan and Jordan from Infinite Empire,
right,
band,
right,
and we were discussing you yesterday. But I was telling them that I think your style, when you speak, it feels like you're speaking to each listener individually. That you have a way of being personable,
right,
and make every listener feel like you're speaking directly to them, and that's hard to do because I started doing this 2 days ago, and my first interview was with Richard Dolan. And he came to my hotel room. He had given me an hour, but I have gotten to know him over time, and this was prearranged.
Right.
So this was my first interview for this show, everything, all the pressure, and I just choked. My mind went blank. I forgot my questions.
You don't have to have questions. And see, this is the thing. I don't. Now, most know this now because they know my style. When I do Coast to Coast, when I do Fade to Black, I have a blank slate. Mm-hmm. I know my guest. I know the subject. I don't have notes. I don't have questions. I don't have bullet points. I have nothing. I know that in order to engage with the audience, that they need to know, because they will figure it out real quick. Mm-hmm. If you have got 10 questions pre-written in front of you, and you go down and you think that that's the best way to go because you want to be organized and you want to be prepared, the audience goes, he's reading his questions. Mm-hmm. They know this. Mm-hmm. If you ask a question and it's perfect and it's right there and it's spot on, it's on the money, you read it. Yeah. It's another thing. You and I are sitting here talking right now. Are there questions in front of us? You don't have any questions.
Nope. We're looking eye to eye, speaking to each other.
You are being yourself. Mm-hmm. And that is what the audience picks up on.
And that was my mistake for the first.
You only do that mistake once. Don't worry about it. You won't do it a second time.
No.
And which is fine. And I went through all of that. When I remember, this is years ago. So I'm in school broadcasting, right? Journalism. And we're coming, and we're in this big studio, and it's one of the class projects, and we're going to fire this thing up, and we're going live, and we're going to do this thing. I brought in newspapers and clippings and notes and things, and I printed, and I go in so anyway, long story short, we do this 3-hour show, and I get the recording of the show, CD or whatever, USB drive, and I go back to listen to it. And I was sitting there with Rita and my brother-in-law, listened to about 10 minutes of it, walked out of the room, never came back, lost his interest. And I was listening to it, and I thought, this is the worst thing I've ever heard in my life. And Rita's like, that sucks. And you start to learn, that's not what radio's about. You go into a real radio studio, a real broadcast, a real thing with real guys and real things. There are no notes. There are things maybe to remind you of what to do next. Right? In 10 minutes, you've got to get to this point, but you are not reading. Yeah. Nori said to me, George Nori said to me one time, this is many years ago, and he calls me up and he goes, "What are you doing, kid?" I'm 50 years old. He calls me kid. Mm-hmm. "What are you doing, kid?" I said, "I'm writing." "Writing for what?" "I'm writing for the show tonight." "You're writing? What are you talking?" And I was like, wow. And it was just so, he's absolutely, you don't do it. So this is what I do. When I write for the show, I write it, I type it, I get it there, and then I forget it. I don't print it. But you go through the programming so now it's in your head, but No, you don't do that. You speak naturally. You just be yourself. You let yourself hang in the wind and just let it go. And that is what the audience picks up on. So I'm going to go back to your first point about all of this, about being yourself and engaging with the audience. One of the hardest lessons to learn for anybody that wants to get into broadcasting, they think it's easy.
It is
not. No. It takes years of practice. It takes years of rehearsal. Every show is a dress rehearsal for the next one. That's all it is. I have done thousands of broadcasts. I've interviewed thousands of people. My best show is the next one that I'm going to do because I've always picked up on something from the show before. That being said, what you have to do as somebody that wants to break into this is how to figure out just how to be yourself.
Right.
Don't be somebody, the person that's sitting in front of you right now, that's on the air every night. If you ever come over to my house and let me barbecue for you, it's the same guy.
Right.
It's the same voice. It's the same stuff that I talk about. It's the same words. I don't use words differently on the air than I do. And once you do that, because I like to talk heavy metal, I like to talk about Elvis. I like to talk about scary movies and UFOs and food. I love to talk about my kids, my dogs, guitars, and UFOs, right? And conspiracy and Egypt and life after death, because it's just me. Right. That's what I like to do. That's it. I'm not hiding. That's just who I am. So if I am able to somehow not only be myself, but find people out there that do like Dimebag Darrell and Pantera and Ozzy and Van Halen guitar and Gilligan's Island and Captain Crunch and Twinkies and In-N-Out Burger and UFOs and right. And so the audience is out there going, you know what? I like Captain Crunch. I like UFOs. Right. This guy is me. And then boom, that's it. And so for me, it's very easy. Why? I'm not somebody that I'm not. Right. I don't have to fake it.
Exactly.
Right. And so that's it. And so that's the growth that you're talking about. That's the empire. The empire's out there for the taking. You know, there's 7.5 billion people on this planet. Are there 1 million people that are just like me? The odds are pretty good for that. So I just need to go out there and kind of find them. Right. And, you know, and so that's my advice to everybody. Be yourself. If you want to do a show about kittens and yogurt and UFOs, and that's what drives you in your life, there are people out there, believe it or not, that are into kittens, yogurt, and Mustangs, Ford pickup trucks, and UFOs. That's what they love. You know, it's really a funny thing how the world works. So there you go. That's my little speech on that. That's how the empire happened. Just be yourself. Right. That's all. Have fun.
It's good advice. I appreciate it. And I really do appreciate you coming on the show because I'm an unknown quantity. This show is in pre-production.
For now.
True. Hopefully I'll be on a certain network. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to blow it, but we're talking.
Good. So. Well, see, and the work ethic that you alluded to earlier, sometimes when somebody comes to me and they want to do this, they want to do Blog Talk Radio, they want to do a live thing, they want to do a podcast, you know, how do we do this? And as soon as I tell them that it's if you really want to do it, it's 7 days a week, 16 hours a day. Okay, that's what it is. And about a year. And so if you can invest 16 hours a day, 7 days a week for a year straight, after that, the world is yours. Right. But if you want to do a show or two and put it out there and think that the world is yours after that, it is not. Right. It takes so long to find yourself. You're going to the mountaintop, you're soul searching, and you're trying to find yourself. You're not going to do that in a show or two. As a matter of fact, I gave some advice to somebody that's doing pretty good today. And this is years ago. And I said to him, I said, you're going to remember these words. Because he's like, dude, man, I got 30 shows done. Man, I'm getting so good. Dude, you suck. What? but did you hear my last show? I said, dude, it sucked. You know why? You think it's great. A year from now, you're going to go back in this show today that you think is so great. You'll never listen to again because you just know that you sucked. Right?
Oh,
because
I
a year
shit
from
right in front of Richard Dolan. You know, I had a hard time dealing with it that night.
Yeah, well, look, it's just life. You know, I've fallen flat many times. Okay, but the point is, your last show is your best one. You just keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, and it's a beautiful thing to see yourself, you know, blossom and you learn so much about yourself. It's a soul searching journey. You're going to the mountaintop. You know, you're going to go up a boy. You're going to come down a man. But when you finally get there and you're in the zone and you're in the Zen, it only comes from time. You know, there's an old saying: to become a master at anything, it takes 10,000 hours. 10,000 hours is a long time.
It is.
It's a long time. So do you want to become a master guitar player, a master painter, a master mechanic, a master, whatever it is? It's 10,000 hours. And if you ask anybody out there that has gotten to the point where they have respect of their peers, they're going to tell you, dude, man, I spent 20 years, 10 hours a day practicing and I still suck at whatever it is that they do. Right. And that's, I look back at the last 10 years of doing this every single day. And I know that I'm just getting a little bit better. You know, I'm getting a little closer to the bliss. I'm getting a little, every single day, there's another screw that tightens down. So
you have a great fan base, though. I think there are a lot of people that would say that you've achieved what it is you're working for. But I think every creative person always pushes themselves forward to strive for just something a little bit better.
Right. And I'm very thankful and humbled by not only what you're saying, but I'm not dumb. I know that I can walk out into that room right now and walk through and have people thank me and walk and that they listen to the show.
Right.
I'm not oblivious to any of this, but all of it comes from hard work, and for them appreciating it, they tell somebody else. You don't want to recommend something to somebody and be embarrassed about it later. So I know that they have recommended, and the word on the street is the best advertising. And that is what has grown this thing. And I do recognize it. I'm humbled by it every single day. I mean, I don't know. I don't want ego to come into this right now because I battle with that like everybody does.
Right.
But I still cannot get over the fact that every time I sign an autograph or take a selfie with somebody, that it could be my last one. And that, how did I get to this point? How did I get here? You know, it's a humbling thing to do for somebody to take the time out of their day to come up to me and say, can you sign this for me? Or I listened to you and can I please take a selfie? And I'm completely humbled by it. I mean, it's a mind blowing thing. You're going to experience it one day. All right.
I hope so.
No, you will.
Was it a difficult transition to go from behind the scenes to you yourself being a brand, your voice, your face, your thoughts? I mean,
yeah, it was all by accident. Yeah. All that's by accident. It is. So I think it was so gradual that you don't really notice it. I remember the first time we did a live show. We did it from Contact in the Desert in front of the men's room.
Wow. That's crazy.
Like this.
Yeah, we're tucked.
See, this is high tech. I had the men's room sign above my head.
Wow.
In front of the men's room door, outside in the heat. There you go. Right?
Wow.
So, and that was my first show. Now talk about humbling, right? Yeah. Okay. So there you go. It's all good. Natasha,
cool.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jimmy, for being on the show. I appreciate it. You're welcome here anytime.
Oh, you're welcome too.
You're on the air enough. I don't think you really want to be on other shows, probably.
You know what? I love it when it's turned around.
Yeah, no, it's
so
good.
this is really cool for me.
This was a good conversation. Thank you for your time.
See, it's all easy, right?
It is.
Isn't it easy? You feel good right now.
I do. I feel really good. This is empowering.
See, and this is the thing. And you're going to go, wow, that was great. You know what? It actually sucked. Let's wait for a year. Natasha, thank you so much. This is amazing. Yeah. When you have the opportunity to just connect your front lobe to your jaw and not think about anything else, that's when you're being you. And that's what you're doing right now. I had a great time.
Really?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. That's amazing. At the end, he said, I had a great time. And I'm like, really? Like, I couldn't believe he actually had a great time. And to me, that is deeply hilarious. And I was really nervous. And I think you might have heard at the end that I was trying to kind of draw a little bit more out of the interview. He was trying to go and graciously do so. And I kept kind of hanging on a little bit, trying to get a little bit more. And but I wouldn't do that now. You can read someone and you can tell when they're done and when they've had enough. And I was just I was new and I hadn't really gotten a lot of interviews at Contact in the Desert, but I decided that the ones that I did get would be quality interviews. And I really do feel like that's a quality interview. There's only been a couple of people that have heard that interview in its totality. And Jordan McAvoy of Infinite Empire and Ethan, they had both heard it because I played it for them at Contact. But no one else outside of my inner circle has heard that. And most of the people in my inner circle have not heard that. So I hope you enjoyed it. I had a good time and I learned a lot at Contact in the Desert. I learned a lot about doing this podcast. I learned a lot about kind of guerrilla recording style. And I also learned that some of my ideas about how to podcast and the format of podcasting were kind of outdated and that I was going to have to educate myself and kind of up my game a little bit. So I don't mind learning. Learning is a good thing, and I like to learn and adapt and grow just like everyone else. I think it's healthy. And I do want to mention before I go that if you're listening to this before October 5th and 6th of 2018, I'm going to be appearing at Disclosure Con in Pine Top, Arizona. And that's the 5th and 6th of October. I'm going to have a table there. Come and see me. There's photo ops at my table. I'm going to have some swag. Come and check it out. I'm going to be doing some live streaming, and if the Wi-Fi there sucks, then I'm going to record some segments and I'll drop them online as the weekend goes on. As always, I appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate you spending this 30 minutes with me. And don't forget to catch my regular live show, Mysterious Forces Live, every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights. That's at midnight Eastern Standard Time. So check your local time in comparison to that. And check out the guests that I have from the paranormal world 3 nights a week. Thank you so much. Be safe.